That's a great point about cannabis use and schizophrenia and the genetic liabilities towards schizophrenia. And it speaks to this great paper that I just found that has 3 major conclusions to it. And I'm not sure quite what to make of them and how they would matter in the real world. So I want to get all of your thoughts on it as well. I'm Lex Pelger. I'm sponsored by the Cannabis Health Research Initiative to talk about cannabinoid science. And they will pay you $100 to talk about your use of our favorite plant. Link in bio. So this paper starts off saying, decades of research have identified a strong association between heavy cannabis use and schizophrenia, with evidence of correlated genetic factors. So what the researchers did is that they took data from the All of Us program, which is like a Obama-era initiative to put about 300,000 people's data together, along with their genetic analyses and all of their health histories. Then the researchers looked for associations between someone's genetic disposition towards cannabis use disorder, as well as their genetic predisposition to schizophrenia. So, the first interesting finding that the researchers found, that in both the people with a genetic predisposition to cannabis use disorder, and in those with a predisposition towards schizophrenia, they tended to be heavy cannabis users. But the effect was much weaker and more moderate in the people with just the predisposition to schizophrenia. Then, the second interesting finding was contrasting, because they found that in people with schizophrenia, they did have both genetic liability towards cannabis use disorder as well as schizophrenia. But the genetic liability towards cannabis use disorder was independently associated with having schizophrenia. As in, just having genes or cannabis use disorder would be enough to push you towards schizophrenia. Finally, the third interesting finding was, even in people with no documented history of cannabis use, if they had a genetic predisposition to cannabis use disorder, they were more likely to have schizophrenia. As the researcher said, this suggests widespread pleiotropy, or many genes working together. But from that data, this is what we found about cannabis use disorder being intertwined with the genetics of schizophrenia. What does it mean? I don't exactly know.